So, to generate a random character, what I need is a list of possible random characters. So, first I'm going to make a container, and this container will contain all the possible random characters that I want to include. Notice that what I've just created is a string. Strings technically are containers because they can be indexed. The name of the string will be list of random chars. And the value will be this. So I want A to Z lowercase, then also that in uppercase, then I want numbers from 0 to 9, and finally, why not some special characters? Now, what I need to do is extract one random character from this list. Basically, what I need is an index number, except this index number is a random number. This random number must be between 0 and the length of this list, but in terms of the index. Recall that the index starts counting at 0. So, let's solve the first problem and get a random number. I'm going to look up C++ random number. This site looks like it might be useful, so let's see what it is. And it looks like it's not very useful. You may need to look through multiple sources to find one that's useful for you. So let's try Stack Overflow. Alright, so I think I may have found an answer that might be useful. So what I'm going to do is keep this tab open just in case I need it. And in the meantime, I'm going to see if there are any other solutions. And it looks like this might be useful as well. So, looking at this, one question I have is, what is srand? I found a source, and I think the answer might be here. I'm gonna try this example and see what happens. Now, let's see what libraries I have to import. It looks like they're also using the time, so I have to import this library as well. So, looking back at the example, they're using stdtime. So, what is stdtime? My guess is that it's just the Unix time. And it would appear that that's exactly what it is. So I guess what's happening here is that our random number is being generated based on the system time. So before I use this to get an index for my list of random characters, I'm gonna first figure out exactly what this thing returns. So I'm gonna make an int, and I'm gonna call it random index. And the value will be the thing that I copied. And it looks like I have an error. That's interesting. I guess what I'm trying to do is not going to work. Let's try something else. And still an error. So, what's happening in the example then? Alright, I think I figured it out. I think what's happening is that here, on the line that I've highlighted, they're setting the range of possible random numbers first. Then they generate the random number. So, let's try that. I'm going to make an int again, call it random index. Then, I'm going to output random index to the terminal. No errors. Let's see what happens when I run it. And I see the same number a whole bunch of times. That's a problem. So why is it happening? Now I'm pretty sure that I saw something like this in the Stack Overflow answer. And here it is. So I'm gonna try a different method. So first off, according to this other answer, what I need is a seed. I think I'm just gonna use the system time for that. So I'm gonna make a variable to hold this seed, and I'm gonna call it random number seed. And the value will be the system time, which I already have. Now, what libraries do I need to import? It looks like I need random. Now that that's done, I'm gonna copy this line here. And we have an error. What exactly is engine? So look at this. Using engine. Basically, that means that engine is a placeholder or another name for this thing. So I'm just gonna copy this and replace engine with this thing which I have just copied. So that's one error fixed. Now, what is U32? I see that U32 is just another name for this thing. So that error's fixed. Now what is seed? It looks like U32 is the type for seed. So then I think that I could probably just do this. Maybe not. Never mind, I fixed it. My seed variable just had a different name. And now that error's gone. So far so good. So now, how are they actually generating the random number? So I guess how they're generating the random number is with this bit here. I'm just gonna copy that. So then if I did this, let's see what happens. And I still see the same number repeated a bunch of times. That is not what I want. What I'll do now is I'll try a different seed. And I'm going to use OS seed like they have in the example. And something happened. So, what's the error? OS seed undefined. And here's the problem. I did not have a variable called OS seed. So, I'm just gonna make that variable real quick. And whenever you have an error where it says something is undefined, that usually means that that something which you are trying to use does not exist. And that should fix the problem. So, what happens when I run it now? And now it works. So, what I've done is I've made it generate a random integer between 1 and the length of the list of possible random characters. You can see this on line 38. Now, to make this work, what I need is a random integer between 0 and the length of the list, except in terms of the index. So, what I'm going to do is print out the length of the list of possible random characters, and that'll tell me what the index range should be. And I printed the wrong thing. Please hold. Alright, here we go. And this is how many characters there are. It's a pretty nice number. Therefore, the range of indexes must be between 0 and that number minus 1. That's because the index starts from 0. Now that I have my random number, I can use indexing to get a random character from the list of possible random characters. What I'm going to do now is use subscripting to retrieve a random character based on the random number index. So then the random character is a list of random chars with the index of random index. But wait, we have an error. Looks like there's a type mismatch problem. The random character variable is a string, but the type of the thing that's being returned is a char. Now at this point, there are two options. What I could do is convert the char to a string, or I could just change the type of the variable to a char. I'm going to do it the easier way and just change the type of the variable to a char. Now I'm going to run this thing just to see if it works. And it worked. I'm going to try a longer password. And it also works. And with that, we can create a random password string.